beautiful queen. How are you? Long time no see. Not.
Hi, Lucy. I'm fantastic. How are you?
You really are fantastic. You should call yourself fantastic Jandi. Um,
Yeah.
so Bib, as she lovingly likes to be called, is I'll let you introduce yourself, where you're from and all that good
Yep.
stuff.
Bibiana Jonde from Sydney, Australia, and I am 36.
The age I met my soulmate.
I know.
And what do you do, Bib?
Well, funny you should ask. I do not have a job right now because I realized when doing Soul to Soul that I didn't love my job at all. So I decided to take the leap and I quit. And now I'm spending some time with myself and getting to know what my purpose is. And that's been amazing. And I have to thank Soul to Soul for making me realize that.
Well, I mean, it has been such a journey. And, this is a side effect. I'm not saying it's going to happen to all of you that do this, but it is a massive side effect. Promotions, pay rises, changing careers, quitting your job. And we have people coming to Soul who are out of a job, and that doesn't stop them getting resourceful and really doing this deep inner work that's going to catapult you into being able to receive so much more financially, a much better job opportunity, when you get yourself into alignment. So let's go back to the beginning, Bib.
Yeah.
Bib's been on such an inspiring journey. I spoke to her like well over, a year ago, closer to 2 years. And I remember our conversation. And I also, had to say to Bib very lovingly, listen, I can't invite you in on the call today. At the time, she was on antidepressants, and it wasn't just the antidepressants. There was still just a lack of urgency. It was, you just weren't ready that day, right?
Absolutely.
But what's super cool about Bib is, she hung out in my free group and she was absorbing all of the content, and then she came back to us. And about 6 weeks before Soul to Soul actually got off of her antidepressants and booked back in, and was basically saying to my team, I'm ready, like I'm going to do this. And, and that's really where the journey continued, but truly began. So I would just love to just start there on what was it like before you said obviously yes to yourself on that call, knowing you'd already been in my community for a while. What was it feeling like for you, like not being the Bib that you knew that you were born to be? Like, I want to know if you just close your eyes and go back to that space, because I know you're riding high now, but like riding high, flying high, whatever it is. But I know that there was a tremendous amount going on for you beneath the surface. And I'd love for you just to let us in and take us back to what wasn't working. How did you feel about yourself? Even the impact of the antidepressants, what that was doing for you, because we have a lot of women, that need to hear your story who have also been on the antidepressant bandwagon. So just want to take us back there before we get to all the juicy stuff on what life was actually like for you and how it felt.
Wow. Yes. So
The tears might roll too, so it's okay.
Yeah. Look, I was not happy at all. I was in a very, very, very dark place. And look, going back to the first call with you and even looking back at it now, I realized that I just didn't fight for myself on that day. And I wasn't ready yet. And, I went away and did some, what I thought was some work on myself. And then, I was really in a dark place, I didn't love myself. I was upset all the time, and just really, really unhappy, and something had to change. And I was still sort of in your group and watching everything, and there was actually a live that you did that really flipped the coin for me. And you were talking about you were like saying, you know, you're sitting in this world of being, you know, upset and, you know, depressed or whatnot, and that's safe for you. And I was like, oh my God, that's when like the penny dropped. I was like, oh my God, that's me. And I didn't quite realize that although I was unhappy, I was sitting in that place because it was safe and it was the only thing that I knew. So I was like, yeah, that's it. I have to get into this program. So, you know, I called up and I spoke to Marty, and the first call I had with her, yeah, you know, we were talking about the fact that I was on antidepressants, and I was actually in the process of coming off them.
Yeah.
So, you know, she said, give me a call back. So I called her back, and I'd been off them for, like about maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, I'm ready. Like, this is happening now. And, you know, something that she asked from me, was, where do you see yourself, you know, in a year? And I, you know, the first thing that came up for me was that I pictured my funeral. And
Whoa.
that was like, I was like, and that was really, very, very confronting, you know, for me, because I'd realized that this really was life or death for me.
My goodness.
So anyway, I ended up, you know, coming into Soul to Soul, and wow, the feelings that I felt were on another really, really deep connected level that I hadn't experienced while being on antidepressants, because I was on them for about a good 6 years, and I didn't realize how much I was numbing my emotions and my feelings, you know, like, yes, I got upset, you know, and whatnot, obviously, but when I came off them and really feeling things on a deep level for the first time was actually, like, it was a bit scary and vulnerable, but it was so beautiful. And that's what I realized, is that you really need to cry and feel to be able to sort of heal and move forward. So it was actually, you know, it was a challenging transition, but it was really, really beautiful. And I guess coming off the antidepressants and going through Soul to Soul and realizing that by connecting with myself on a deeper level, that I can become happy, which is what happened. And I never, ever thought that that would be possible coming off the antidepressants. But really the answer was, you know, connecting with myself and doing the work on myself. And now I'm happy and I don't feel depressed. And to me, that is probably one of the biggest wins for me in Soul to Soul.
I mean, huge, like monumentally huge. You look like a different person. And what I love about Bib, I mean, I love so much about Bib, but like she told Marty, you know, I'm going to just have a day off to really like acknowledge that I'm going to be shifting and changing. So it's like saying goodbye to the old Bib. You did that, right?
Yes, I did. I had a day and wrote a little letter to myself saying, hello, Bib.
Oh my God,
and dated it. And I was like, I'm saying goodbye to you today. And I'm ready for the new Bib. And I still have that letter to myself. Yeah.
Wow. Honestly, so inspiring, Bib. Honestly, it's that whole quote of the deeper we fall, the higher we rise, but only if we choose to rise. That's where the edits happen. The deeper you fall, the higher you can rise if you choose to, and you've chosen to. And you know, this is so much bigger than just being about you. Now, the impact that you're already having on people around you just by being in your light and coming out of that dark tunnel that you were in. I mean, saying a funeral a year from now, like that's, hello, it doesn't get more intense than that. So if we just, before we move on to the good stuff, I just want to understand at a deeper level what it was like day to day, how would you describe, obviously we know you were very unhappy, but how would you describe it? What was it like?
Yeah. The best way I can describe it is that I was being really inauthentic and just being fake and putting on a mask.
Yeah.
I would go to work when I was working, feeling unhappy and not obviously connecting with that, with those feelings, and pushing it to the side, putting a mask on, going into work and being this bright, bubbly, energetic, bib, and putting all my energy onto everyone else.
Yeah.
And, how can I help you and what can I do for you? And really deflecting away from my own feelings and emotions and dealing with myself. Even with
over giving, overcompensating.
Yes, absolutely. And I just felt like I had this mask on, and that's the best way to describe it, because I just wanted to hide myself. And I realized I was playing quite small, and I'm actually quite a big personality. And, that really shone through, going through Soul to Soul. But before that, I just felt very, very inauthentic and playing small and deflecting.
Got it. So I get that. I did that as well. I remember going to, when I was just going through the motions, when I had my wake up call, I was the one at a dinner party asking everyone, like, if you could do anything, what would you do? Like, completely deflecting. If someone asked me, I'd be like, not what I'm doing. But I was the same thing, like really deflecting and jazz handsing through. But then beneath all of the jazz hands, what was it like, really like deep down for you, getting through the day? Like, I just want to get into that level of simplicity. What was it actually like being you?
It was really tough and challenging to get through some days, putting this mask on and holding back tears a lot of the time, and feeling so upset, but listening to other people and engaging with them while feeling really, really hurt, really hurt. And just hiding back my tears, and then I'd either let that flow when I'm at lunch, or when I went home. But it was tough putting on this brave face when I was really, really hurting, really hurting deep down.
And so there were dark thoughts.
Look, I've had thoughts, about, like, I wouldn't say complete thoughts of, committing suicide, but I definitely had thoughts of the possibility of doing it.
Yep.
Which, I only ever shared with people in Soul to Soul. And that was really, really tough, because I didn't want to ask anyone for help. Yes. And I kept those thoughts to myself. And it was horrible thinking about how I felt back
was
then.
It because you felt like insignificant, that you didn't matter, that no one cared about you? What was the main
the biggest thing for me was feeling not loved by myself and other people, and feeling like I was alone.
Yes.
Even though I have so many amazing friends and family, but I still felt completely alone.
And what I'm hearing when you say that is, it's really that alone with self energy. Like, you could have, there's nothing worse. Same with being in a relationship, yet there's nothing worse than being in a relationship where you feel alone. That's even worse. But especially, as you were saying, with these people that did absolutely adore and love you, it feels like you just felt really like isolated within yourself, like on this, it's like feeling like you're on an island, and like you can't reach anyone and they can't reach you.
That's exactly how I felt. Exactly like that.
That is immense. And like, this is a really profound testimonial chat that we're having that needs to be had, because this can save lives. By those of you watching, this courageous bib, It transcends. This is beyond doing soul to soul. This is a conversation we're having, which is to say, you know, you do matter. You are needed. Your light is needed. And there is support here for you. No matter where you're at on your journey, there is support here. That is why you are watching this. Getting full goosebumps. You're watching this chat between us. It's such an under talked about topic that needs to be blasted out into the universe. You are not a failure for feeling depressed or anxious. You're not a failure. I get anxiety. I've been depressed and I rose up through it. So I just want to say that. There is nothing perfect about me. There is nothing perfect about anything I want to portray. I'm a fucking badass in that I'm not going to tolerate my own bullshit and I want to live my best life. But you've got to partake in that if you want that in this lifetime. You've got to know that you are the creator. And if you are feeling really unhappy and lonely and isolated and sad and you've lost hope, let this be the message to say, well, darling, if you want to solve this, there is more than hope. There is support, there is a process, there's a strategy, and you are not too broken, you're not too damaged. There is a huge, huge amount of light and love wanting to come through you. And so, you know, like I said, this is not a regular testimonial chat. This is like a much needed conversation, Bib, that I'm so happy that we're having, because, you know, there's COVID going on and there's a shitload of suicide going on that's not being talked about, that's killing too many people every day. So yes, I'm going there on this testimonial, absolutely. And I'll be going there as many times as I need to just keep beaming the message that you are not alone. Even when you feel that you are, people care about you. And just by Bib, you know, what had you actually, I know you resonated with my live, but what had you go, you know what, I am going to fight for myself? Like what changed?
I think watching that, I just realized that there was help out there. And I know that I'm a strong person. I've always been a very strong woman, and a lot of people are like, you know, have said that. And I never really kind of felt that. And I guess, you know, watching that and realizing, I was like, nah. I was like, fuck this. I am fighting for my goddamn dream. I was like, I'm not staying in this energy that I'm in. And, you know, just with what you were saying before, I felt, I think, really ashamed that I, you know, had depression and,
Yes,
you know, felt like I couldn't sort of speak up. And then I was like, but why? You know, there are people who love you and want to help you. And, you know, I guess watching that live, you know, really made me realize that I am not alone. There is help out there, and that you can turn your life around.
yes,
And you can have your dream, you know. And
yes.
I'd had enough. I just had enough. I was like, no, no more. I am not being in this sad story. I don't want to talk to my friends about it. And I do not want to feel this way anymore. And that was it. That was just the moment I decided that I was changing my life, because I'd had enough.
How much do we love Bib? I mean, seriously. I'm talking to those of you watching, such a rock star. So, okay, so I'm really glad we dug deep with that. Thank you for being so real and so open. You know, that's the vulnerability, you know, that we activate in Soul to Soul. The fact that Bib is willing to come on here and share herself so deeply, knowing that it can create impact for others, like that's courageous. And it's no longer about Bib, you know, it starts to be about other people, you know. And so I just want to really acknowledge you for that, because you could have easily done Soul to Soul and said, no, I don't want to talk. We don't make anyone do these testimonials. It's very much like, no, I want to do it.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge you for that, playing a really big game, really taking up space and bringing in the real you. There's no inauthenticity here. There's no playing small. It's the polar opposite. So let's just dive into, what was it like for you, and why did this create such huge change in your life? Like, what was it that, you know, what's one of the biggest things you obviously got from Soul to Soul, and what was it that you noticed the minute you kind of went into the vortex, into this program? Like, what were those feelings? What was it like for you?
Wow. I had so many wins, like so many. But being in Soul to Soul, and the I guess being in a group, you know, and having all these people, it's like this big support bubble, like this big support love bubble. And you don't get that with, you know, like one-on-one coaching. This is like a big, beautiful love bubble where you get continuous support by, you know, so many people that are lifting you higher and supporting you and listening to you, you know, at your most vulnerable moments. And
Yeah.
that was powerful. Like, and that was the power of, you know, the vortex and being with so many people, because you get that continued, you know, support and care.
Yeah.
Which was amazing because I didn't know, obviously, that was going to be there. And then I was like, wow. And it was amazing. And well, I got so many things from soul to soul, I guess, quitting my job, you know, realizing that that was not my passion anymore. Really connecting with myself on a deeper level and realizing that being vulnerable is absolutely beautiful. And I cried most of the journey. And I was like, why am I crying so much? But at the same time, I was like, wow, you know, I realized during the journey, I was like, this is actually really beautiful to be vulnerable. And it's the first time I have been vulnerable in my life was in Soul to Soul. So that was amazing. And also, realizing that I wasn't truly being myself and I had that mask, and, you know, unveiling that mask and realizing, you know, how big and bold I am. It was like unleashing and climbing out of this shell and armor, and, you know, really stepping into me. And the biggest thing, I guess, that I got was realizing that I'm enough and that I am worthy of everything, and starting to love who I am. And that, I mean, I kind of forgot about the part of the soulmate for a second, because it was about coming home to me and realizing who I am, and that I love who I am. And every day I'm learning so much more about myself and loving who I am. And that just blew my mind. I didn't even know that was possible. And, you know, by the end of the journey, I was like, wow, I love Bib. She's pretty amazing.
Epic. She's absolutely epic. And, you know, for those of you watching, they're like, well, yeah, I do want to meet my soulmate. Like, why is she not talking about that? Because you can't meet your soulmate until you meet yourself and love and accept yourself on every level. What you're hearing from Bib is she's not saying, I'm worthy, I love myself in this really automatic tone. She's embodied in that. She's actually feeling that worthiness, as you can see in her. You can feel in Bib, like she's not here to prove anything. She's just being Bib. And that's the difference, because I get so many women that get on calls with our team, and such beautiful women, and yet they're like, I feel worthy, you know, it's not me. And I'm like, darling, technically you feel worthy. You don't feel worthy. You don't feel deserving. You don't believe you can have it. Like, let's be real. So the fact that you're sharing that is, this is why you are going to meet your soulmate, because we attract who we are. And if you're not in this mad, like, beautiful, deep love affair with yourself, and that includes like being intimate with yourself and, you know, pleasure and intimacy and all these yummy things that, you know, how on earth are you meant to be in an intimate, loving, sensual relationship with someone else? I mean, you just can't. You're going to be all like, ah. So it's, and if you're not doing that with the physicality in a relationship, you're doing that just in the relationship, and no one can get close to you because you sabotage, you push them away, and suddenly they're not good enough. And it's him, and it's not. It's he is a symptom of what's going on internally. Because I was doing that. I was like, oh, you know, there are no committed men in Sydney, and it's Sydney, and it's not Sydney. Like, there's plenty of Peter Pans in Sydney, absolutely. But I was attracting them in because I was being a Peter Pan myself. And so that's what this is about, is getting really invested and connected with what's going on inside that heart, and how do you really feel. And that's what's really shining through you so strongly right now, Bib, is this beautiful transformation that you created, where you got to really come home to Bib and love her and take care of her and heal those parts of you that were hurting, which is, you know, an ongoing job.
Yeah.
So that's just amazing. And how do you feel now about, you know, your beautiful soulmate coming in?
I'm giggling because it's like, it's unbelievable to think before Soul to Soul, like I'd lost complete belief that he was coming.
Yeah.
And, you know, in my last week in Soul to Soul, I was like, oh, he's here. Like, I can feel him. And, you know, having that belief now that he's on his way, and he's coming into my life. And that is amazing. But it starts with, coming home to you first, and then he's just going to waltz on in.
Because you're now actually ready to receive. Like, you, sorry, I'm in the dark over here with this light.
Yes.
It's like really dark in Malibu today. It's, you know, what I hear when you say like suddenly he's around you, that's because you opened up. It was almost like you had a padlock over your heart, and then you're like, no, hey, like you were going on with the lights off, trying to attract someone in the dark, and now you're like, oh no, my lights are on. Of course you can feel them around you, because we're all energy at the end of the day. So he is absolutely around you and he is coming in. But what I love is you're in such like this full overflowing relationship with yourself. And that's where you want to attract in the love of your life. Not from being perfect, because that doesn't exist. I'm not perfect, don't want to be, thanks. And I attracted an arm into my life in the busiest time of my life, living in New York City, doing a one-woman show. Like, it was not an ideal time. It wasn't a perfect time. So really powerful, like so many value bombs, you know, throughout this conversation with you that you're just dropping like it's hot. What would you say to these beautiful soul sisters watching this who have deep down given up and they're in the plan B, like, oh, I'll just be auntie, I'll just be the godmom, when really they want to have a soulmate relationship, and some of them family more than anything, but they've just really turned away from that? Like, what would you say to these beautiful women right now?
Wow. I mean, from what I've been saying, and I was in such a dark place, you know, I want people to know that it doesn't matter, you know, how far you think you've fallen, and that you can't get back up, because you can. And I'm living proof that you can. If you really want to fight for your dream, you can get it, and you can have everything that you want. You just need to show up.
Yes.
And you need to fight for yourself and invest in you. And I, like, honestly, this program, and this is massive, it honestly has saved my life. It saved my life. And yes, it's about the soulmate, but this program saved me. And what more could you want for yourself than saving your own life? To me,
I mean, it's interesting you said that, as it says low battery. I just think the metaphor is fantastic, where this was no, seriously, it's about to conquer. Like, just in that moment, it's just fascinating. But yeah, it's not about the guy, you know, completing you. Can we just really get that clear? He is the cherry on top of your decadent 5-layer cake, and you are the cherry on top of his or her 5-layer decadent cake. Let's just get that straightened out, because too many women come to me, oh, it's just the guy. When I have him, then I'll be complete. Incorrect. No, that is you attracting from lack, and that is you who has got a deep void within yourself. And so everything Bib is saying is spot on. He will come in, or she will come in, when you love yourself enough to give yourself this gift of doing the work, stepping the fuck up, healing that victimhood, that scarcity, that depression, that anxiety, whatever it is you're dealing with, you know, trauma, whatever it is, mental abuse, physical abuse. Maybe it's none of those things, but there's something deep within you that you know is out of alignment. Once you get that piece of the jigsaw puzzle and plug that into you, you will attract in not just your soulmate, but all of the things that you desire. So it's like a huge, massive up level energetically, you know, through the vibration and how you show up. And it's turning the lights back on. So thank you so much. One last question is,
Yes.
What do you think it would have been like had you done this on the antidepressants?
It wouldn't have been the same journey. I would not have connected with myself on the deepest level that I did going through Soul to Soul, because I realized how much I was numbing myself being on those antidepressants and not feeling. So doing Soul to Soul off them, you just connect on this much deeper level, and you have to connect on a deeper level to be able to heal and fully heal. If I was on the antidepressants, it would have been like digging halfway through, and not fully going, like digging the whole way down. And that's what I did by being off them. So I'm so grateful, for you for ensuring that I was off them, because I know if I had done the program still being on them, I would have not got the results that I have gotten now. It would have been like playing 50% instead of 100.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you shared that. I know that's going to really speak to so many women that needed to hear that, because we're not being the big bad wolf by not working with people on antidepressants. We're actually wanting to make sure that we're taking care of you, because this does go super deep and we don't want to tip you over the edge. We want to be really, really, really taking care of you. And so this is the way that we do it. So love this whole conversation, Bib. Thank you. Was there anything that nearly stopped you from doing it? Truth.
Me. Me. Really, it was that fear inside me going, do I want to take that leap? And I was like, nah, fuck fear, I'm going in. And that, honestly, it was me. And I was like, no, I'm bigger than my fear, and I'm going all in. And that was it.
This has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being so generous with your heart and your light and your story. And is it okay if some of these amazing women reach out to you?
Oh, please. I want people to reach out to me. Absolutely.
God, love you. Thank you so much, Bib. Hang about, but I'm gonna wrap. Thank you so much.
Thank you.